Hi there, I'm Kevin Gentry, and welcome to the Going Big podcast, where we explore the strategies and stories behind transforming your effectiveness by 10xing your fundraising and marketing. Each week, I'll be sitting down with some of the most influential business leaders, CEOs, and nonprofit visionaries to talk about leadership, the power of giving, and how to make a real impact. If you're ready to go big and to elevate your organization to new heights, you're in the right place. You can find the Going Big podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and YouTube. And don't forget to follow us on social media and visit our website, 10x Strategies, TENX Strategies.com, for some great free resources. Let's dive in. Are you ready to go big? Are you ready to go big for a cause that's important to you? Maybe the cause is so important and so meaningful that you've dedicated your life to it. Hi, my name is Kevin Gentry, and this is the Going Big podcast, where we'll dig into how to transform your organization's effectiveness by 10xing your fundraising. And along the way, we'll work to build a community of principled fundraisers that includes people just like you. What's your BHAG? Your big, hairy, audacious goal? BHAG, as you may know, is a term that was coined by Jim Collins and Jerry Porras in their book, Built to Last. What is your big, hairy, audacious goal? What's the big problem you're working to solve? How you're getting to the root causes of that problem? What's the solution that you're offering? Is that solution credible? As you know, the world is craving leadership today more than ever. And in my experience, generous donors are craving visionary leaders more than ever, those who have big visions, big goals, and big plans. And that's what we're going to do as part of this Going Big podcast. We're going to arm you with the strategies and techniques that will enable you to go big, to transform your effectiveness by 10xing your fundraising. Today, to help make that case, I'm going to tell three stories. The first is about the Variety Club of New England, the second about Mahalia Jackson, and the third about Patrick Henry. Let's get started. The Variety Club was formed in the 1920s in Pittsburgh as a sort of social organization. And over the years, it grew into a philanthropic community, much like what we would see today as a community foundation or maybe even a donor-advised fund. In 1947, the Variety Club of New England, led by Bill Coster, put together a group of philanthropists to assess worthy causes in the area that they could make generous gifts to. They paid a visit to Boston Children's Hospital, and they met with the head of the hematology department and asked, "What would you do with a generous gift?" He thought about it and said, I think I'd buy another microscope. Dr. Sidney Farber, a well-known pathologist who was working down the hall, he was known to be rather excitable, came out of his office and said, "With a generous gift like that, I'd find a cure for cancer." Another microscope or a cure for cancer? Today, as you may know, the Dana-Farber Institute at Harvard University employs more than 5,000 research scientists and medical professionals working to find cures for cancer. And in fact, Dr. Sidney Farber is well known as the father of modern chemotherapy. He had a big vision, big plans, big goals. And I hope you can see how that inspires people to action. It certainly did in Dr. Farber's case. The second story is about Mahalia Jackson. Do you know Mahalia Jackson? She was a well-known singer, especially as a gospel singer, in the middle of the last century. She toured all over the country, all over the world, but also was increasingly helping her friend, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., make the case for civil rights for African Americans. She was a dear friend to Dr. King and his wife, Coretta. On August 28, 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King was asked to give the closing speech at the March on Washington. More than 250,000 people had come to the Lincoln Memorial to be inspired to take action to bring civil rights for African Americans. Dr. King, as you may know the story, worked through the night in preparing for his remarks. Many people gave him advice and counsel on what to say. Just as he was speaking, maybe a minute into his address, Mahalia Jackson, who had performed earlier in the day and was sitting just a few rows back, yelled out from the audience, "Tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream." And that's all that Dr. King needed to push away his prepared remarks and to speak from his heart. And he, of course, laid out his dream for America. And we all know that is one of the most consequential speeches in world history. Big vision, big goals, big plans. It inspires people to action. Another way to look at it is through Patrick Henry. As you probably know, Patrick Henry was a very skilled orator and was an effective and important communicator in making the case for the American Revolution. He was very effective in many ways, including how to know your audience, what words, terms, and phrases to use with that audience, how to reach the key group that you need to reach, using emotional arguments rather than just logical arguments. On March 20th, 1775, almost 250 years ago, about 165 delegates came to Richmond, Virginia for the Second Virginia Convention at St. John's Church. They were to take up several resolutions dealing with deteriorating relations with the mother country, Great Britain. And Patrick Henry had in mind 3 resolutions, the third of which was quite radical. It called for the raising of a state militia, which was definitely more than just defending the colony. It was more about inciting action against Britain. He knew he did not have the votes to get that third, more radical resolution approved without some special techniques. So, as you may know the story, he gave a very famous address. And he was aiming his words in particular at a group of delegates who were concerned about Britain, but also were very comfortable with their lives in the Virginia colony. And he knew he had to move them on certain terms, drawing from biblical references, from plays that were popular at the time, from classical history. He gave that speech. Maybe it's familiar to you. The last part of it goes like this. Gentlemen may cry peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war has actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. What is it that the gentleman would wish? What is it that he would have? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. And then in a dramatic display, Patrick Henry brings out a dagger, and with a reference to the Roman patriot Cato the Younger, he says, "I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." The vote was taken, and 65 to 60, the delegates voted for that third most radical resolution, which ultimately helped pave the way to the American Revolution. Patrick Henry knew his audience, he knew what message he needed, and he effectively delivered it. It's another example of a big vision, big goals, big plans. Certainly a Declaration of Independence and a revolution is a big vision and a big goal and a big plan. But it also shows how bigness inspires people to action. Over the next several weeks, through our Going Big podcast, I'm going to lay out a lot of strategies and techniques that can help you, as I said at the start, transform your effectiveness by 10xing your fundraising and marketing. We'll talk about how to establish that vision, how to establish your objectives, how to come up with a strategy that is right for your particular cause, how to develop your plans. How do you think through testing it to various audiences? What about marketing? How do you position yourself? How do you prepare your case? What techniques of persuasion do you utilize? These are some of the things that we'll be talking about on the Going Big podcast. I hope you'll be there to join us. There's a lot to talk about, but more importantly, this is the path you can take to transform your effectiveness to making an even bigger difference for your cause and truly affecting and improving the lives of others. Thank you. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Going Big podcast. I hope today's conversation inspired you to take your fundraising and marketing strategies to a whole new level. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also watch all of our episodes on YouTube. And don't forget to follow us on social media and visit our website, 10xstrategies.com. That's TENXstrategies.com for more great content and for free resources to help you go big with your leadership and with your giving. I'll see you on the next episode of the Going Big podcast.